Hello, everyone. Welcome to IBC. My name is Nicholas Economides, and I work for Fox Networks Group in Germany. That means I'm responsible for all audiovisual promotion for the markets Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. And today I'm going to be talking a little bit about cultivating creativity through a digital-first mindset. Before I begin, just a quick personal anecdote. A couple of years ago, when I was in film school, our directing professor told us before we were off shooting our thesis films, "I don't want to see any acting." And I thought to myself, what does he mean? We're directors. Aren't we supposed to tell actors to act? And I thought about that for a while, and I realized afterwards what he was trying to say was he doesn't want to see any actors acting in front of the camera. He wanted real performances, gripping emotions. He wanted things to feel real in front of the camera. And that kind of has stayed with me in my career as a filmmaker and also later as a creative advertising professional. And that's how I approach promotion. I try to create promotion without thinking about it as promotion. That's going to be a little bit about my theme of the subject. But before we get into that, just a little quick intro about what my team does and what we're responsible for. So we do regular program promotion, branded content production, technical and creative consulting, and strategy and development. Give you a little idea of the portfolio of brands that we service. We have Fox, we have National Geographic, and we have Nat Geo Wild. On the left-hand side, you see all the owned channels that we have. And on the right-hand side, all the additional channels that we use for our marketing campaigns. Here are some of the shows, some of which you might have heard of. Our biggest show for Fox is The Walking Dead. On National Geographic, we have a variety of content from documentary series to anthology series, hybrid formats between fiction and fact. And then we also have our wildlife channel, Nat Geo Wild. Before I keep talking, I just want to give you a quick intro as to our brands and what they stand for. The Fox channel in Germany celebrated 10th year anniversary, and this is a trailer we produced for that occasion. Here we go. Let's take a look.
10 years Fox.
Happy birthday, sweetie.
10 years, one success story.
Good thing.
10 years, one mission. The best first.
What do you think about all this?
And you are lucky to be here.
This is what we stand for. The most thrilling series, the most touching stories, the most popular heroes. 10 years Fox.
Right, so as you saw, Fox stands for Premium Bold Entertainment, delivering the best content for our audiences. Now at National Geographic, we have quite a different brand. National Geographic has been around for 130 years. It has a rich legacy of mapping and exploring the planet. National Geographic Society has funded over 13,000 grants worldwide to explorers. So for National Geographic, what we're trying to do is we're trying to create entertainment with a purpose. We're trying to actually make a difference in people's lives and show us and show everyone around us the beauty of our planet. Before I begin, here a quick intro into what National Geographic stands for.
How far have we come? Our picture of the world is clearer than we ever could have imagined. We've mapped nearly every surface of every continent on Earth, charted the depths of the oceans, and then we went further. To the moon, to Mars, across galaxies, to the farthest reaches of the universe. And we're still drawn forward by the lure of the unknown, the pull of possibility. We are scientists, pioneers, and explorers. This is our relentless pursuit, the drive, passion, and purpose of all of us since we emerged from our caves and saw the stars. It is what brought us to this point, and will bring us to points beyond, past what we know, all we've imagined, and then further.
So as you just saw, this video really encapsulates perfectly why I love working for this brand. I get to connect with an audience on a much deeper level. I get to contribute to a purpose that is bigger than ourselves. And I get to create content that hopefully creates a better understanding of the world and how we live in it. So to get everyone on the same page, just a couple of things that we know about the industry. We know that consumers face more ad exposures and more ad messages than ever before. We also know that cord cutting is a problem across regions. This is more immediate in the US than in Europe, but the long-term trend is clear. Linear TV viewing is on the decline. So is it time to panic? Not just yet. We also know people process visual narratives about 60 times faster than written communication. We also know people consume more content than ever before, and we also know that people spend more time online, particularly on their phones, than ever before. So what does that mean in terms of creativity in the online space? For me, it comes down to this. Storytelling is the essence of humanity. It's a philosophical statement. I picked this up quite a few years ago. I don't remember where. But if you think about it, what really differentiates us from animals? It's the fact that we can put our lives into perspective, create a narrative around it, and let that be a driving force. So what does that mean in terms of promotion? You need to go where the audience goes, right? So if you have a story to tell, you need an audience willing to listen. The long-term development, as we've seen, is linear TV viewing is on the decline, so that's a problem. We offer a product on demand, but we also have to adapt our promotion to match the needs of the audience in the online space. In other words, tell your story that's still relevant for people who are watching online. So how do we go about doing that? We know that people don't want to have a hard sell. We also know that people don't want any ads. They want experience. This is a problem for promotion, trying to sell something. So in essence, promotion nowadays needs to be entertaining on its own terms and in its own right. As you can see with this chart, there's a couple of years old, but still very much relevant for what we do today. The top 2 actions that make people unfollow a brand on social media. Too many promotional messages. That's a problem for a guy who does promotion. Also, information not relevant. Also a problem for someone who's trying to make the content relevant. So how do you go about doing that? I think the wrong question is how to break through the ad clutter. That's the wrong way of going about doing that. I think Jerry Seinfeld had it right when he said, this whole idea of an attention span is a misnomer. People have an infinite attention span if you're entertaining them. And that's what we're trying to do, essentially. So a couple of years ago, when I started at Fox, we had an established on-air promotion strategy. But where we wanted to be was down there. Digital content strategy is where we wanted to be. You cannot really reinvent the wheel on air. There's only so much inventory. You can cut a promo 30, 60, 15 seconds, but there's only so much space you can do. Nowadays, creativity happens online, even if you're a linear TV channel. You can experiment format, with length, with tone of voice, and that's what we're trying to do. So a couple of years ago, this is what a campaign looked like. You had a show announcement, then a launch campaign, a linear TV premiere, and then everyone was hoping for a good review so they could tell you that the promotion worked. Nowadays, it looks like this. You have a show announcement, a tease phase, a tune-in phase when the series starts. During the season, you have to sustain it, and after the series wraps, you have to maintain your fan base by posting content on all of those platforms that you see. And that's for one show, for one brand. So you can imagine the work behind that. This is a 3-tier challenge, really. So you have to look at workflow, technology, and process. How do you change your team? How do you change the workflows? How do you make that happen? But also, the mindset of your team. What does it mean to be creative? What does it mean to work in promotion in the online world? And also, you have to evaluate your resources and your skills. Here's a chart of our output of our team over the past couple of years. On the left-hand side, you see fiscal year 16, 372 on-air elements delivered, 442 online elements. And fast forward a couple years later, on-air increased slightly to 469 elements, and online nearly double or maybe a little bit more at 987 elements. So how were we able to achieve that much more output with the same resource and the same team? Well, we start with workflows. We switched from Avid to Premiere, and that brought with it several benefits. Since we're a linear TV channel, we work a lot with graphics. We have to maintain our brand style guides. We work a lot with After Effects. The seamless integration between After Effects and Premiere Pro really allowed us to save time and focus that time somewhere else, being creative. Also, material handling. Wherever you get your material, wherever it might be, it's much more efficient ingesting that through the creative tools, and also more flexibility in production. Whether you are cutting a promo for on-air, you're doing a short film for online, there's much more flexibility. So that takes care of the software and the tools. Also, you need to really train your mindset and really think about the environment of where you're going to post your content and know the audience behavior behind that. This is just a boilerplate image to show you the currently recommended aspect ratios for each platform. So we have Snapchat, we have Instagram, Facebook, etc. This changes constantly. And what I'm trying to get at here is, if you're trying to be creative, make sure you know what format works for each platform and optimize it for that space. So to quickly recap, we know that we need to transition from on-air to digital, and we also know that this informs and shapes how we go about our creative work. So now I'm going to show you a couple of examples of what we try to do at Fox Germany. And we're going to start with an example, 2 examples from The Walking Dead, because it's our biggest show. And it's a global phenomenon. So how do you make a global phenomenon relevant for a local audience? That's the question. We use local language, customs, and special occasions, and we try to turn an established franchise and use its pop culture relevance and turn it on its head. So what does that look like? Here's a quick case reel that shows what we did for the mid-season break this year when Walking Dead had its fall premiere, then a winter break, and then a spring return. And this is the campaign that we did this year in between the first and second half of the season.
That world is ours. It's ours. All right.
During the mid-season break of The Walking Dead, Fox created a Facebook campaign with true local relevance for German fans. Without access to new footage, we translated 4 scenes from the show into regional German dialects. For the recordings, we partnered with famous German musicians and comedians using their voices. The first video was released for the start of the carnival season, portraying Rick as a Cologne native jester presiding over a costume meeting and warning his team members about the impending zombie invasion from Düsseldorf.
Das sind keine Jäcke, die sind noch nicht geschminkt, das sind echte Undude.
For the northern German region, Daryl and Rick fight over fishing practices and what to eat for dinner.
Freitag ist Fischtag und nicht Mittwoch.
Featuring Berlin, Eugene and Dwight go apartment hunting in Prenzlauer Berg.
Keiner hat Zähne im Maul, aber alles pfeift La Paloma.
The 4th video shows Simon and Gregory in preparation for the famous Bavarian Oktoberfest.
Ich reiß mir dann auf und du bist mein jodelnder Wingman. Der will vorher noch zum Bieseln.
This first ever local dialect campaign was hugely successful. The entire campaign reached over 1.2 million people, organically generating 18,000 engagements. In addition, the campaign earned free media coverage in local newspapers, which is further proof that our local approach created high levels of fan engagement and consistently high TV ratings for the season return.
Right, the next thing I'd like to share with you is, if you have access to talent, please don't just shoot tags. Everyone's aware of celebrity endorsements these days. They're everywhere. It's fine to shoot tags for your promotion, but do something else. Don't just use your talent as promotion dummies. Try to create engaging content. So we were lucky enough to have access to talent from The Walking Dead. They came to Germany, and we created a whole series of clips exclusively for our online presence. And what we made them do is we tried to let them guess German words and what they possibly could mean. So the concept behind this is pretty simple, but yet you don't have to be a Walking Dead fan, you don't have to know the actors' names, you don't have to know the characters they're playing, and you can still enjoy a clip like this because it's entertaining in its own right. We did quite a few of these, but just to give you an idea, here's a clip with the 2 guys we shot with.
Ooh, Heiskorper.
Heiskorper.
I feel like that's like a... To me, it sounds like someone who's like a head of a company.
I was going to say some sort of a corporal.
CEO
like
or something.
Up there, a Heiskorper.
Have you talked to the Heiskorper today?
Did the Heiskorper call you in? Yeah, I think I'm in trouble today.
Yeah.
Heiskorper wants to see me
here
at
comes
noon.
the Heiskorper.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Look busy. Here comes the Heiskorper.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah. Radiator. As in heating device.
Okay. Well, we lost that one big time. Heiskorper, a radiator. So that's a Heiskorper?
Heiskorper, okay.
Oh, okay.
That means heating body. That's the literal translation.
Okay.
The heating body.
Well, we're way off on that,
Okay.
all right?
Heiskorper.
All right, moving on to National Geographic. So, as I stated earlier, National Geographic stands for 130 years of exploration, science, and adventure. And what we're trying to do with National Geographic is we're trying to think big. If you have a brand as strong and globally recognized as National Geographic, leverage that brand strength and use it for more than just promotion. A couple of years ago, we aired the first season of Mars, which is a hybrid format where you have fictional elements, where a fictional crew goes to Mars to try to colonize it, and then you have pioneers of the day explaining to us what steps need to be taken to make that happen. So instead of just doing promotion, which is what we also did, we decided to approach the European Space Agency and make it locally relevant. And they agreed, fortunately, to partner with us. So we flew out to the Astronaut Training Center. We interviewed a bunch of astronauts and staff from the European Agency. And we created a web series exclusively for our channels where the astronauts and other people that we interviewed guide you through the process of what that would mean, the perils and dangers of space exploration. And we intercut that with footage from the Mars show. So again, this is beyond promotion, trying to make content relevant. You don't have to know the show to appreciate what the astronauts are saying, and it lives online indefinitely. We did quite a few of these as a web series. Here's just one to give you an example.
The most memorable moment, of course, for me was the time that I saw the planet for the first time from above. It's a really beautiful planet, but on the other hand, you also see that it's very vulnerable, very fragile. We have just this very thin atmosphere that protects us. The second part is, of course, is when you look from above, there are the borders. Borders do not exist. They are imaginary lines that some time ago we as people have drawn them on a map, and now we start fighting over those borders. That also makes you reflect on what we are as human beings, that are we really so uncivilized that we have to start fighting over these imaginary lines.
A big part of our strategy is our website. A couple of years ago, about 1.5 years ago, we launched our National Geographic German website. And that's a big part of what we're trying to achieve is create more than TV, create entertainment with a purpose. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to think long term. We're trying to build up a digital video library on our website so that people have a destination to go to when it comes to the planet, to sustainability, to interconnectedness. And we're trying to create something that lives in its own terms and has value beyond the life of the show. So what I'm going to show you here is just one example. We have a series called One Strange Rock, and it's a documentary series hosted by Will Smith that takes us through what it means for the Earth to actually function as it does. Why do we breathe? Where does the water come from? How does the planet sustain itself? And the first episode is about 45 minutes, and what we try to do for everyone who doesn't know the show is take that complex theme of oxygen and air and create a short video, 3 minutes in length, where you can show the entire episode in those 3 minutes, so you don't actually have to see the 45-minute episode, but it's just interesting enough for you to tune in or watch it online accompanied with an article. So what we're going to see here is a short film that basically distills the complex themes of oxygen and how we breathe into a 3-minute short film that lives online.
There is nothing more natural than breathing. Yet, as far as we know, this is the only planet where that happens.
Our planet is literally bursting with life. So how on earth is there enough oxygen for everyone? The answer takes in some pretty surprising stuff, but it begins in a desert. A desert made of salt.
Every year, about 27 million tons of that African dust we can see from orbit drops out of the sky into the Amazon basin. And it turns out it's the perfect fertilizer. And as they grow, the plants and the trees turn carbon dioxide into oxygen.
If you could look inside the trees, you'd see water sucked up from the forest floor. When the water hits the top, the combination of sun and wind turns it into a mighty river.
This river of cloud flows across South America, obscuring everything beneath it, until it runs into a brick wall, the Andes. The clouds condense into raindrops, which then race down the slopes and flow directly back into the Amazon basin, eroding the rock and turning it into sediment, until all those nutrients are dumped into the ocean and a whole other world. And waiting for those sediments is an extraordinary organism. It's called a diatom. Diatoms are the secret to the Earth's oxygen supply.
It's astounding how all the systems down there must work together in order for us to breathe.
All right, so how are we doing with this strategy? What's our performance like? For Fox, our rating index is 134. We've had the best on-air ratings in 2018 in the history of the channel. We've increased our Facebook fans by 6% year on year. Our Instagram followers are up 60%. On the National Geographic side, our website page views are up 287% from last year. Our website video views, 145% up. Our Facebook fans, 13% increase. Our Instagram followers, 90%. I have to add a little disclaimer. Since we only launched most of these a couple of years ago, 1.5 years ago, the total numbers are still quite low, but we're going in the right direction. So what does that mean? Can you always create inspiring, transformative content 365 days a year? No, and you don't have to. What you see here is what I call a purpose spectrum chart. Think about it this way. What purpose does your content serve for which need? On the left-hand side, you have the snackable content, the short lifespan, the relevance through current events. So this is the stuff that you like in the morning, you share with your friends, you forget about in the afternoon. That stuff's important because it keeps your brand awake and aware in your fan base. But also on the other side of the spectrum is the stuff that we just saw, the relevance by adding value. What value are you adding? Is it inspiring? Is it informative, transformative, a combination thereof? It's meant to have a long lifespan and to be an evergreen. So just think of it in terms of where along the spectrum you want your content to fall and which purpose does it serve. So to summarize, just know what you want to achieve with the content that you're trying to produce. Take advantage of technological advances to spark innovative output. Don't be afraid to take risks and experiment with storytelling formats and customs. You've seen examples here in Square, 16:9, etc. Length is different. Just experiment with formats, see what an audience engages with, and adapt your strategy to what works. And the main message that I'd like you to take away with today is think of yourselves as content creators and not advertisers. Think about what my directing professor said when he says, don't act. So create content and not promotion, and you might be on the right way. Thank you very much. I'm open to questions. I'll just be around the corner. I hope you have a pleasant stay at IBC. Thank you very much for your time.